Entitled old lady tells me I'm not allowed to stand outside my own apartment. I just found this sub and have been binge reading it all day and have a story from a few years ago I'd like to share with you all. So I live in a small apartment complex with only 4 units. From the outside, you won't expect it to be apartments. I had my friends over one Saturday afternoon, as the usual man in their 20s would do, watching the football, etc. We all go down at halftime for a cigarette, and it's raining, so we stand in the doorway of the flats to keep out of the rain. Everyone else who lives there does the same. It's a busy town center. Lots of people are walking past, doing shopping, etc. And we are all standing talking about football, laughing and joking, having a good old time, until an old lady comes over, probably in her 70s, and is visibly annoyed by something. She tells us, rather rudely and abruptly, "You need to move away from that doorway." So, obviously taken aback, I ask her why. She says, "I don't need to tell you why. I'm telling you to move away from the building and stop messing around outside the open door." So I try to explain to her why we are there, and she abruptly interrupts me, saying, "You need to move on, or I will get the security." The town center has its own security guards to move you on. You can't stand in a doorway that isn't yours and interrupt people's business. What I did next was a stroke of genius and had my 2 friends absolutely howling and laughing. I closed the door and said, "Yeah, I hate when people interrupt people's business," whilst simultaneously pulling out my keys and opening the door again. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Am I still not allowed to be here? Or should you go and find the security guards?" My friends are laughing at the whole situation. The old lady says nothing, not an apology or anything, and walks away. A few weeks later, I heard the same lady shouting at this lovely homeless lady about the same thing, who sits outside our flats and has permission to sit on the step to get out of the rain. I went down and this time shouted at her, telling her to mind her own business and that the homeless lady has permission to be there and that she's the only person who isn't wanted here. The police came over, as someone else reported her for shouting and swearing, and told her she needs to leave. Once again, not even apologizing for her behavior, she just walked away, defeated. I came to find out from the police that she is an alcoholic who does this kind of thing all the time, getting annoyed or shouting at people like she owns the town center.